guys, and welcome to an episode of Bosses of Gaming. As you can see, we're going to kick things off with Nemesis from Resident Evil 3. Now, I'm talking about him specifically from Resident Evil 3. I am more than aware he has appeared in other Capcom titles, but this is his most prominent version, this is where he's the big bad, and this is where he's actually one of the biggest draws of the game. Well, actually, to be perfectly honest, he was the biggest draw of the 1999 version. I'm pretty certain not everybody played that game for Jill Valentine. I, for one, actually played it for the sexy beast that was on the front cover, because he wasn't wearing a bin bag at the time, and you could see his darling face. However, in this remake, I will give Valentine props. Like, quick shout out to Jill, I love her, fantastic character, and she herself is one of the main draws to the Resident Evil 3 remake. However, as she shuts the door on Nemesis, I will have to point out this is not about you, Jill, so hurry the fuck on. Anyway, Nemesis, fun fact for you, is named after a Greek goddess of vengeance. See, I always knew he was beautiful, really. You gotta be if you're named after a goddess, I mean, fucking come on. And the fucker has been terrorising us since 1999. Well, terrorising Jill since 1999 anyway. At least sat in our own front rooms, we can pretend to be badasses that are really immortal and we're complete gods, and he can't ever actually hurt us. Jill is not quite so lucky, and this bioweapon is going to hunt her down for the whole of the game. Well, more specifically, he will be relentless in his pursuit of her for the first half, until he begins to evolve and become more like a wild animal than a respectable person wearing a bin bag, really. And if there is one thing I will have to point out about Nemesis, is the fucker hates doors. You see that? He likes breaking through a wall. I mean, give him credit, he knows how to make an entrance. The other titles that Nemesis has appeared in actually do include Survivor 2 Code Veronica, The Umbrella Chronicles, and another Capcom title titled Under the Skin. But I digress. We're talking about Resident Evil 3. Although, actually no, you know what? I need to point out he did actually appear in Resident Evil Apocalypse, which is the second film in the movie franchise. Although I feel the less said about that the better for the majority of Resident Evil fans. When you think about Resident Evil, the franchise as a whole, you undoubtedly will think about Nemesis, especially if you're considering the villains. He might actually be the most memorable. I would think of him before I'd think of Albert Wesker, because who else will mutate and make people so goddamn gorgeous with a giant eye on their head, like with a tentacle? Really, honestly. And he does hit very hard, and he's just an intimidating foe. Although you can dodge that shit and, you know, be on your merry fucking way. Happy days, we can get away from him. That's something that I will actually give a shout out to for Resident Evil 3, is the dodge mechanic. I do absolutely love it, and I did rely on it quite a lot to get away from the big bad. And we're now actually coming up to one of my favourite parts of the remake, which is new. This was not in the original. So this is our first boss fight with Nemesis. Yes, he's terrorised us, and he has chased us through downtown Raccoon City. But this is the first part where we actually go mono-a-mono with him. And as you can see, the motherfucker is wielding a flamethrower. Very intimidating on such a large foe. That and the fact that he literally dragged us out of the sewer and then taunted us with it doesn't exactly help. The mechanics of the fight are pretty simple. You want to blow up the fuel tank on his back. I mean, that's gaming 101, is it not? We all know to do that. If someone's wielding a flamethrower, you want to destroy the fuel tank. Although on most enemies, it would wipe them out. On Nemesis, it's just going to enter him into phase 2, assuming that we get there. There you go. And now when we enter phase 2, he becomes more of a melee fighter. He will attack you with his fucked up flamethrower, which is not great. It can hurt. But this is an example of why I love Resident Evil 3. As a boss, he is intimidating, and his first fight, it's unique and it's new, and we've not experienced this before in the previous game. And the setting for the fight is also very good. I like the fact we're on top of a construction building that's on fire. I mean, that's pretty fucking badass, right? Jill, you earned your badass moment on top of this building, although currently being on fire yourself, you might want to become a tall glass of water, like Carlos suggested earlier in the game. But we get our badass finish. We get our badass moment on top of a fucking building that is on fire. I mean, mwah, excellent. I really enjoyed it, and being the first encounter with Nemesis as an actual boss fight, it was good, it was memorable, and it really kicked things off. Although, of course, he does then go back to pursuing us through the rest of downtown Raccoon City, and fuck the flamethrower that we blew up. The bastard now has a rocket launcher. But you know what I have to say to that, Nemesis? I have one too, bitch! And mine hurts just as well. Okay, actually, maybe mine does not hurt just as well, but the effort was there, and I did try. What more can I do? To be fair though, the rocket launcher is practically synonymous with Nemesis at this point. He normally has one in any appearance he makes in any Capcom title. So yeah, learn to deal with it, people, because it's here to stay. But for once it's nice for Nemesis to feel it. And it's nice to put him on fire, you know? It's only fair. And then let the fucker fall into the water and let him drown. I'm going to let Jill say it for me here. That's what we think. Until he jumps out, severely mutated, in his second form, and ready to eat us, quite frankly. He does look like he's ready to eat your guts. Quite disgusting. But we find ourselves in our second boss fight with Nemesis. And to say it's different to the first would be an understatement. But that's a good thing, right? It's more intimidating than the last, and it's more intense, which is what you want. As the game goes on, that's the idea of survival horror. It's meant to get more intense, it's meant to get more difficult to survive, and you're meant to truly feel the fight. The need for survival. Though, as you can see, I have got a rocket launcher strapped to my back, but for whatever reason, I feel like being a total motherfucking badass, and so I'm not going to use it. But I have been known to use it at times, and who knows, fuck it, maybe I will. But it is guaranteed victory no matter what difficulty you're actually playing on. Seriously, you could play on Inferno mode, and you could still wipe him out within 5 shots with that infinite rocket launcher, which can come in handy to stop you from playing Ring a Ring of Roses, a pocket full of poses, a tissue. Fuck's sake, Nemesis, just stop. And then you shoot him off of wherever he is on the outside of the arena, because when you do that, it brings him down, and then you can shoot him with your arsenal of weapons to cause maximum damage. Of course, if this is not the way for you, then use my earlier suggestion of the rocket launcher. Boom. Bitch goes down. See, Nemesis, I told you my rocket launcher hurt, didn't I? Let's fucking do this. You say it yourself, Jill. And obviously, you know this is your second encounter with him. You know this is not going to be the end of Nemesis. If only Jill thought the same way we do. I, for one, would not have walked past him. I have watched too many horror films and played too many horror games to just walk past an enemy that's on the floor, especially when they're as bad as Nemesis. It's quite clear he's going to come back for one more, Jill. Really, what happens next is completely on you, lady. Because me, for one, I would have left Raccoon City like long ago. Like, I wouldn't have got infected like that. But that does lead me to one of the best parts of the game for me. The Carlos section in the hospital is actually very, very good, so fun times. Though we are now in our third fight with Nemesis, the penultimate fight. I want to say that we've evolved yet again, but really we haven't, because this fight is very similar to the last one. He's going to run around the arena after you do enough damage to him. Only difference is, we've got Carlos and his fabulous hair on standby to spot for us to let us know exactly where Nemesis is when he's running around. He will stop behind one of those giant tanks that you see around the arena. Carlos is going to let you know which one he's at, and it's up to you to shoot him off the tank and ultimately bring him back to the floor like in the previous fight to cause maximum damage to him. Though there is one added complication to this fight, and that's that you can get some extra little friends that fall into the arena to just make it that much better, make it that much harder to take on Nemesis. I say harder if you're playing this game on assisted or standard. They don't really pose much of a threat. In fact, they don't really pose much of a threat on any game, on any difficulty, because Nemesis himself kind of just wipes them out. You know, he's a one-man army, dude. He don't need no fucking help. And quite frankly, they're obviously cramping his style. I mean, when you have aiming like that, you don't really need the help, do you? I'm helping him myself. So, you want to just, in this fight, just keep shooting him with grenade launchers, really. Oh, the tried and true method of the infinite rocket launcher. Though that shit's not available on your very first playthrough. Actually, it's probably not available on your second playthrough either. Not unless you just, you know, camp out in the hospital as Carlos and just wipe out the enemies. Though, that's a pro tip, if that's what you want to do, and if that's how quickly you want that rocket launcher, I highly recommend doing that. So we take him down. Carlos is going to use his wonderful crane to, you know, finish the creature off. Make life better. Because Jill's done enough, hasn't she? I mean, Jill's really trying her hardest against you, Nemesis. See, take the fucker down, and we're going to melt him into mush, in the famous words of Carlos. And it looks like it works. I mean, look, he's writhing in pain, he becomes a gooey puddle. You want to believe this is the end of him. But no, people, guess what? This is not the end of Nemesis. He comes back looking like a giant sweaty turd. You're about to see what I mean. There we go. It's pretty disgusting. Jill's disgusted that she has to do this all over again, and quite frankly so am I, because really this is actually a very big pain in my ass. Though this truly is the final encounter with him. And it's been an incredible experience up till now in this game. I can't fault him as a boss in the slightest, and I'm being totally honest. In all of his forms, in all of his fights, they've all been good, and they've all had something different about them that have kept you keen, they've kept you interested, and it's made it more intense. He's not a walk in the park by any stretch of the imagination. Not on your first couple of run-throughs, at the very least. And if you're playing on Inferno mode against this version of him, against the final boss, it can be a real bitch. A wombo combo will kill you. If he smacks you once and then hits you again, you know you're dead, and that is game over. But hey, it's Inferno mode. What more would you expect from this giant hunk of a man? I don't know if I'm more attracted to him now than I've ever been. Oh dear, what a beautiful beast, with his pustule packs. Which of course is the key to actually defeating him. You shoot those pustules, and that inflicts pain upon the creature and allows you to recharge your massive weapon. Now that, what she uses to kill Nemesis once and for all, is what I would truly call the BFG. Sorry to ID and Doom, but the big fucking gun really belongs to Jill Valentine in Resident Evil 3. There's 3 power sources to sort out, and on standard or assisted, and I think even on hardcore, you can get 2 of them done in one go, which makes things really easy. On Inferno and Nightmare, however, you need to do them one at a time, and even on Inferno mode, halfway through doing one, there's every chance Nemesis is going to get back up and make your life a living hell. So watch out for that if that's what you choose to do. Like a strike like that on Inferno, that could have wombo comboed me, and that would have been a real pain in the ass. But that's part of what I like about the difficulties on Resident Evil 3, especially when it comes to Nemesis, because he does actually get more difficult, like properly, like true. It's not a massive difficulty spike, it's fair as you go up through the difficulties. And when you get to Inferno, yeah, he poses the ultimate challenge. But to me, Inferno mode is the true Resident Evil experience. And here we go, here's our BFG, our big fucking gun, to take this fucker out once and for all, because at this point, we've earned it. I mean, Nemesis, I salute you. You are the main reason I love Resident Evil 3. Although, as I said in this remake, I do give props to Jill, and Jill is actually one of my favourite characters of the series. She's not my favourite, but she's one of them. Well said, Jill. Well said. And she earned this moment. She's fought really fucking hard. She's earned the right to lay there and bathe in the blood as if she was in Carrie. Except we're not at a prom, we're underground, covered by blood of a monster.
Good riddance.
You might say that, Jill, but we're not quite done. Let's have a little look at our favourite moments when he pops up out of nowhere and, you know, just grabs Jill and tries to get a little bit frisky. But Jill ain't having it, I'm afraid. And this happens quite a lot. He just shows up. See, even towards the end of the game, he is ruthless in his pursuit of Jill, and frankly, it's a miracle that she's not been killed 10 times over by now. Although, having said that, I may have been killed 10 times over on my first run through. But still, life could have been worse. I mean, we could have been Tyrell, because that shit looked like it hurt. Don't worry, Tyrell, you ain't got to tell me twice. We is out of here. Bottom line, Nemesis, you were a badass motherfucking boss, and you made Resident Evil 3 what it was. And for that, my sexy friend, I thank you. But for now, me and Valentine are out. Laters.